Now, this setup you're seeing here, 90% of golfers will think this is the perfect way to set up to a golf ball. It looks nice and athletic, perfect place to be able to swing a golf club from. But it is the reason why so many of you struggle so much with a few issues with the golf swing. So massively, 1, early extension. 2, being able to get any sort of turn and rotation in your golf swing. And 3, why you struggle with so much back pain. So let's dive into that a little bit more. So okay, let's dive into why this setup isn't great. So this is the setup that was taught very much in, again, the 90s, early 2000s. Very, very much in this way, where you set up to the golf ball, quite a bit of knee bend, lots of hip hinge in this little bit of a curved lower back and a straight back from there, from mid spine and upper spine. So looks very athletic, doesn't it? So from here, this is going to destroy your ability to be able to move properly and actually, funnily enough, move athletically, even though this is supposedly the athletic type of setup. So when we are this bent over, what's going to happen as we start to turn in the backswing is our weight's going to start to shift more onto our toes. So if the weight is going more onto our toes, you can see how the body is going to start to lunge a little bit forward and a little bit down also. So that's going to make it very hard to be able to turn in the backswing. This is why we see so many players out there struggle so much with their turn in the backswing. They think they're not flexible, but it's actually they're setting up terribly. So, or they're setting up what's taught the ideal way, but it's actually terrible for you. So that's going to make it very hard to turn, because if you do try to turn, you're just going to completely fall on your face. It's not going to be very ideal. So that's also going to create quite a bit of tension in the lower back. So if we're restricting our turn, whether it's consciously trying to restrict it or via how you're setting up, it's going to hurt that back. It's going to cause too much tension in that lower spine. So especially with this curved lower back, the lordosis of the lower spine, it's not good for your back health whatsoever. So we'll get up to here. Our weight's gone forward. So we're in this kind of almost overly flexed position when we want to be more extended at the top of the backswing. So we're in this overly flexed position here. Now, what's going to happen? I'm generally not going to stay in my posture from here, because if I stay in my posture, my weight's going to go even more on my toes. I'm going to fall forward. I'm going to lose my balance. So this is a balancing act now. Imagine you're on a tightrope. If you're going forward on that tightrope, you're putting your weight forward. What's your body instinctively going to do to rebalance itself on that tightrope? It's going to come back again. It's exactly the same thing in the swing here. So you are now going to force your body backwards to be able to maintain your balance. And as well, if you've moved forward onto the toes more, your body has lowered a little bit. So that means the swing and its arc has moved more into the ground. So you've also got to come up just to get the club out of the ground again to somewhat hit the shot. So what does that look like for a swing fault? That's early extension. So that's where if we are having to stand up, come out of our posture, pelvis has to go forward, upper body goes back, the spine extends, and that's where we get that real ugly early extension movement just to hit the ball somewhat okay with what we've got. Rotation won't happen from there. You won't be able to stay in your posture. Then if you just try more and more and more to be able to do that, you're just going to destroy your back from that posture, trying to get yourself nice and rotating and stay in your posture in the downswing. It's not generally going to happen. So that's where we need to be in an environment to be able to get ourselves to hit a good golf shot. So that's why I massively encourage players to set up a little bit more like this, like your old school players. So it looks like they're in what used to be called old man posture, doesn't it? So we're fairly straight legs, really quite straight lower back, but then their back really gradually curves up to their upper back here. So they look a little bit more like this. So looks very, very unathletic, doesn't it? But again, those guys back then, for the balls they hit, the clubs they used, they hit the ball tremendous distance and they moved incredibly well here, really, really well. So their early extension wasn't really too much of a thing back then, or as to the extent it is now, that's for certain. So when you're in this posture here, you're going to notice how your armpits are going to be more in line with the balls of your feet. So that's going to make it straight away easier to stay in your balance, because the other posture, this, armpits are now massively in front of your toes. That's going to cause, like we said, balance issues. So with this posture where you're having this straighter leg, pelvis is more a little bit tucked underneath you. Now you've got that round of that upper back, which has made your armpits over the balls of your feet. It's now so much easier to be able to turn and be able to actually get a good turn and not come out of your posture by going forward with the weight going onto your toes. So, okay, now we have the environment to be able to stay in our posture in a downswing. Now we can turn and move really nicely, just like you're seeing Ben Hogan do here. Yes, absolutely, Ben Hogan set up in this way. So, again, if we have that better posture, we have straighter legs. Doesn't have to be dead straight, it shouldn't be, it needs to be just a little bit of flex, pelvis tucked under, upper body just a little bit relaxed. There we go. If you're someone like me with quite long arms, you might have to take a little step back there because you might be a little bit too close. And now you're going to be in a better place to be able to stay in your posture. You're going to have better balance because you're not going to have to do this tightrope balancing act, and you're going to be able to move way better the environment to be able to do so. So, okay, here's a little procedure that I go through with my students to be able to get this set up, and it gets it every single time. So, what we need to do, stand to the golf ball, bolt upright with a slight amount of flex in the knees, like a little bend, tiny bend, but completely straight back, completely straight. Now, you're going to notice if you grip the golf club is super elevated off the ground. So what are we doing from here? I want you to get the club to the ground via relaxing your mid and upper back. That's going to look a little bit like this. There we go. Where are my armpits now? Balls at the feet. I'm in a much better spot. So again, stand to the golf ball, dead, almost straight legs, little bend of them, dead straight torso. Now what we want to do, relax the upper and mid spine. Boom. There we go. Now if you're like me, really long arms, you might have to take a little step back, but not compromising that posture we've just created. And now we're in a good spot to be able to hit some good golf shots. So if you can follow that, guys, I know it seems a little bit funky. It does. It's against what a lot of the pros over the last 20 years have said, but this is much more what is widely being taught now. Funnily enough, most of the things that are widely being taught now are what golfers used to do back in the day. So that's where it's going to be much more comfortable for your body, much more healthier for your back, and it's going to encourage you to swing better. So this is going to fix quite a lot of your early extensions there. So if you are an early extender, you have to set up like this. You really, really do. You don't want to have anything that's encouraging you to early extend in that downswing. So this won't fix it for absolutely everyone. Like we said, for some it will, absolutely, but it's the key to create the right environment here. So have a good practice of this. This will really, really help you out there. Everyone should set up like this and you'll be a lot better. So if you like this video, click that like button. If you want more golf instruction just like this, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. So set up like this, you're going to be playing a lot better.